better never rests.
Counting careless in the sky. What a thrilling time to be alive.
Good Tuesday morning, everybody. It is the Georgia Show. I'm Jake Rowe, DawgsHQ. He's Rusty Mansell from the same place. And got a lot to talk about on the show today. Mecole Hardman catches the game-winning touchdown in the Super Bowl. This is a couple, 2 or 3 weeks after I think folks are ready to fire him. But, man, listen, football is a fickle game. We're going to talk about the dead period, Rusty. Maybe some folks don't really understand exactly what that is. We're going to go in depth on what that looks like, what it exactly is, and continue our look ahead to Georgia's 2024 schedule and the Power 5 teams on it. We covered what was it? It was Alabama or somebody, Auburn. We covered Auburn last. This time we got Mississippi State here at the end of the show to kind of just take a quick look ahead at that game.
Oh, it Kentucky.
Palmer and I did Auburn on Thursday. Yeah, that's what happened. That's what it was. So we did clear Auburn, and we'll get to Mississippi State. But Rusty, man, I mean, Mecole it was a rough look for Mecole in that. Who were they? What
Buffalo.
game was that? It wasn't the Ravens.
I think it was Buffalo. He had 2 carries and 2 fumbles.
Yeah, 2 carries and 2 fumbles.
2 touches. Yeah, man. And so, yeah, it was Buffalo. And I kind of watched the Baltimore game, and he basically only got 1 snap. Yeah. So he was – I mean, they had, for lack of a better term, they had benched him. And I don't know what's going on with Kadarius Toney. There's obviously some issues going there. And, Kadarius Toney went to media day, made some comments, basically, hey, if you get me the ball, I'm the number 1 receiver in the NFL. And next thing you know, Kadarius Toney was a healthy scratch. He's still on the sidelines in street clothes. But what did that do? That gave Mecole Hardman another shot, man. And I think Travis Kelce's quote on it is, I love Mecole as a teammate. He just keeps finding ways to help or finding ways to win. And they know privately that, he was kind of, when you're not a part of the game plan.
Yeah, you do.
And Mecole was not a part of the game plan, basically got benched against Baltimore. And then he comes back, man, comes to the Super Bowl, has 2 huge catches, but obviously he has 1 that I was thinking this morning. I watched the Jimmy Kimmel interview this morning, and he's going to get endorsements. That catch, he'll forever be known for that. And if he does it right, he's going to make a lot of money and a lot of endorsements off that play.
And I know that folks have heard me say it a bunch of times, but man, he'll always be one of my favorite players to cover because I remember going to that Elbert County Buford game at the Granite Bowl back in Isaac Nauta, I think, was a junior at the time. I think Josh Cardiello was still playing at Buford. So I believe that was 2012. It's his first game as a high school football player, his freshman playing quarterback. And man, listen, Ryan Dennis was working. He was with the Athens Banner Herald for a while, and at that point, he was with the paper there in Elberton. And man, it started raining in the middle of the second quarter, and it rained as fast as I've ever experienced. And Mecole fumbled the ball 5-6 times that day, and I didn't really think about him again. I kept up with him. And then I remember flipping on his junior film and like, oh my God, this guy right here moves at a different speed. Mm-hmm. Jeremy Pruitt recruited the heck out of him for Georgia. I think it was, there was at one point, I think I remember hearing that staff got fired. Pruitt and Rick and all those guys got let go, for Kirby to come in. And Mecole was in that first class, that 2016 class. And Pruitt, I believe, heard about the Rick firing while at church with Mecole and his family that morning, or something to that effect. And, Georgia gets him, starts at DB, starts his career at DB, and then spends the next 2 years at wideout. And, forgotten in that game is a really nice catch he made, 50-something yard catch in that game that there was a fumble on the very next play by Isaiah Pacheco. That could have also, that could have been a big one. I was watching the game, though, Rusty, and I was thinking, what's funny is if San Francisco wins this game, Tennessee fans are going to be standing on the mountaintop because Juwan Jennings had thrown a touchdown and he had caught a touchdown and he looked great. He had gotten open for maybe what would have been a game winning or at least a touchdown pass there in overtime. It was going to be their time to brag, but Georgia fans ended up with the last one.
Did you see the bet from one of the users on VolQuest? Did you see that?
No, huh?
So he put $25, I believe, on Juwan Jennings to be the MVP. And I think he parlayed it with he had to have a total of 2 touchdowns.
Oh my God.
Dude, he would have won. I had to go back and look, but he would have won like $20,000 off a $25 bet.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
His odds were crazy. You know what I mean? And he made the post and screenshot it like that day. Like, I'm just going to take a chance on our Tennessee guy on our VolQuest, our Tennessee site. But it was insane odds. And for a second there, that guy was probably sitting around thinking, I'm about to make $20,000 on the wildest bet I've ever put in, just because he's a Tennessee fan with Juwan Jennings. But I've known Mecole, man, for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And so Mecole came to my MVP camp, the one that Chad Simmons and I own. And he was a sophomore, had no offers. And he's one of those stories that one day I'll get to write a book, and this will be in it. So Mecole came to our camp at Lovejoy High School. And one of his coaches from Elbert County brought him down. Didn't know who he was. Nobody ever heard of him. I mean, you guys had seen him, but like you said,
Mm-hmm.
you kind of forgot about him. But
yeah, this
was kind of his day, kind of to burst on the scene. And Chad and I didn't know him. You know, we'd heard some things about him, but didn't know him. And he comes down. You know, we probably have 100 DBs, and we let our staff make the decision who's top, MVP every camp. And Mecole won it. And I remember thinking, man, this kid's got some, he's bouncy. You know what I mean? He's explosive, but he's twitchy. You know what I mean? And the one thing you notice early about him is he loved it, man. Like, you usually don't let kids go both ways in a camp. You want to see them run either wide receiver or DB. Well, I couldn't get him off the damn field. I was like, hey, man, you got to calm down there, young cub. You know what I mean? And but I'll never forget this. Mecole left. He got a bunch of pub that day, and probably about an hour after he left our camp, I think he got his first ever offer. I think it was from Virginia Tech. Called down and offered and saw some videos. So that was cool that he got his first offer. But really, Mecole and I, we had a first together, and it was, you talking about a miracle how that thing got pulled off. So Mecole, I was doing some stuff. You and I both, I think, were at 24/7 Sports. And Mecole wanted to do his commitment on TV, so I had a connection with Fox 5 Atlanta. But Mecole wanted to do it at Elbert County and wanted to do it from his whole school. So I don't know the logistics of everything. Well, unfortunately, there's not a lot of signal in Elbert County's gymnasium, and that affects TV. So they send me up there. I'm supposed to be with another camera. I'm supposed to be with a cameraman, and somebody else is supposed to be with me. I'm not just running the show. I'm going to kind of do some words. Somehow or another, Jake, it got kind of confusing where I was the only guy there. I'm hosting the freaking show on national TV. Everybody in the country. First of all, this was the craziest thing happened that day. If you remember, I tweeted a picture of his cake.
Yeah.
And he did not have a Georgia cake. And I'll never forget, a lot of people thought Michigan was involved with this deal. I tweeted that picture, and I don't think I've ever had more followers. I picked up more followers off that picture than I have anything ever in my life. I think I picked up 1,000 followers. No kidding. Because the Michigan fan base got a hold of it, and it just ran wild on the Michigan Twitter. I was like, what the heck is going on? I didn't know I got that many followers until I got outside the building later on. But so I got an earpiece in. I tell Mecole, I said, listen, you're going to hear me talking. And when you hear me say, Mecole Hardman, it's time for you now to make your decision. He was going to run through a sign, and he was going to come out and all that. I said, Mecole, let's be clear. We're on live TV, my man. So when I tell you, Mecole Hardman, it's time for you to make your decision. You count 1,001, 1,002, 1,003. You come out. I got you. I said, we're on the same page. We're good. So they go to commercial break. And my cameraman looks at me, and I'm telling you, Jake, this dude was in full-blown damn panic mode. And here's me, green as ever, and I'm like, what's going on? He goes, I don't have a signal. And I said, dude, the gymnasium's packed. This kid, we've promised this kid he's going to make his decision on TV, get the signal. And he's literally, I kid you not, I don't know how he did it. He literally has a flip phone with a cord in it. And he's dialing in to the Atlanta, trying to get the signal. If we're like 20 seconds come back from commercial, I'm literally like, this is the worst thing that's ever happened to me in my career. I mean, I've taught this kid wanted to do it. I told him we could do it. Now we're about to screw it up. And he goes, I get it in my earpiece. They're like, are you there? Are you there? And I'm going, yes, yes, yes. I don't hear a response. The cameraman says, just go. I don't know if we're on or not. So as God is my witness, Jake, God is my witness. And thank you, Lord. I did Mecole Hardman's commitment, and I didn't know if we were live or not. I had no idea. I'm telling you.
That's great.
My heart is exploding through my chest. I'm talking about the embarrassment for me. I've ruined this kid's moment. I don't know what's going on. We were live. The only thing I remember is the cameraman said, if we lose signal, all we got is 3 minutes. We got to make 3 minutes work. Well, we're going. But when Mecole, I told Mecole 1,003, you come out. It's 1,010, and we're on live TV. And I'm like, oh my God, come on, dude, run through this damn sign. He comes out and it's Georgia, and I'm just thinking, God, I hope we get this. And if you ever watch the video, Jake Roos is standing there. He's got his little camera.
Yeah,
he's filming for everybody. And so when we come back through, Mecole, we go off the air, and I said, Mecole, I told you 1,003. He goes, yeah, but I wanted to build it up. But
golly.
Okay. I was like, well, you built it up, dude. So we go off the air, and I look at the cameraman, Blaine from Fox 5 Atlanta. We laugh about this now all the time. And I said, Blaine, were you on? He goes, yes, we were on. He goes, I had no idea if we were on either. I mean, it was literally the first time I was ever on live TV like that. I almost passed out. Like, I'm like, this is crazy, but it's never happened again. And thank you for the good Lord above, because if I would screwed that up, they would tell him, I don't know what I could have done. You know what I mean? We could have videoed it and played it again, but people around the country were watching that streamed in, and that was kind of that's kind of what he wanted to do. So he comes running out in the Georgia gear, place goes crazy, and the rest is kind of history. But me and Mecole, we shared a moment, and luckily it went good for both of us there.
Man, let me tell you something. You can avoid all of that is you just look like me, and nobody's like, hey, let's keep the cameras away from this guy at all times.
Well, I'll tell you this.
Anytime I get near a nice camera, they're like, let's get him out of the shot.
I'll tell you this. I went back and watched it yesterday. I literally think that was 60 pounds ago for me. So
that's great, man. Good for you.
Even wearing black, I looked at me. I was like, I look like damn Refrigerator Perry, man. I look like a JUCO nose guard, man.
You just needed some pinstripes. Get some black with some pinstripes.
That would have been it. That would have been it for me. I'm telling you right now, I'd have been one and done. And but man, lot of difference, lot less rusty from that picture. But
dude, there are so many fun stories about the scrambling and stuff like that. I remember doing Deontay Demery's commitment from Brunswick High School, and there was no signal in the building, and we had told people we were gonna do something live from there, and I'm in there trying to download a VPN from inside the school so that I can, because I got school Wi-Fi, but school Wi-Fi wouldn't let me put it on Facebook Live because it wouldn't let me get to Facebook. So I'm in there downloading a VPN on my phone. I got it done though. I'm still trying to get into the Golden Isles Sports Hall of Fame down there for being the first person to live stream a commitment or something. I hear it's tough to get into that Murray Pool Hall of Fame.
You and the Pentagon are only two that ever get anything live from there.
That's right. But that was man. And the thing about, and we're pronouncing his name wrong over and over again. Apparently, it's Mecole. Is what he told everybody.
I've been calling him Mecole.
I know. I have to. I can't. I have a hard time.
Mecole Hardman Jr. Mecole Hardman Jr. He
Mecole
deserved to get it right. So Mecole
that's right.
Hardman Jr.
But man, I tell you, this is one of the highest praises I give anybody. Dude's got toddler energy. Like it just never stops. It's if you know him, he doesn't forget you. He knows you. I ran into him a couple years ago, and he like sprinted up to me, gave me a big hug, was like, "Hey man, what's going on?" You know, he's something else. And I felt really bad after those 2 fumbles because I knew how bad he wanted to make a play.
You don't
for
get
him to come back and make that play in the
you don't get second chances in that league.
No, you don't. And
not this time of year. Not this time of year.
It helps when you can run like he can, though. But the thing about it is, the thing that I find so interesting about it is toddler energy or not, and you know, like you talked about, he's an improv guy. He kind of does things his own way. He freelances.
Yep.
The way he didn't get caught up in that moment, he said he blacked out. Didn't really know. He didn't let himself get too far into that moment. Made that play. It wasn't a hard catch or anything like that. But and it's also funny thing is, you know, you talk about Kadarius Toney. It was the same play that Kadarius Toney, different name. They call it Tom and Jerry, which I think was the perfect.
Did you see him interviewed last night? Have you seen that interview yet?
I did not see the interview. No.
He says the number one target is the running back, and you know the running back comes underneath the defensive end, so it's basically a double flood route almost.
Yep.
Bosa blows it up and pinches so hard that Mahomes just pulls and dips it. Yeah, he goes, I'm not gonna lie, the play's for the running back. You know, that shuttle is the motion for him, but that's the running back in the flat on that. That's why the running back was on the play side. If you go back and watch the play against Philadelphia last year, the running back's on the opposite side. This time he's on Mahomes' right, so he's in that flood route. Those two are going to come out there. Basically, Kelsey's going to clear out, and if they jump Kelsey and Mecole, then the running back's going to be right there. They're going to have a numbers game. But by Bosa blowing the play up, it enabled Mecole. And I'll tell you this too, you and I, exactly what you're talking about, that energy. If you see him catch the ball, both of us knowing him, had he known he won the Super Bowl right there, there's going to tell you what he would have done. He froze for a second until he saw Mahomes running to him. That's why I know that he blacked out at number 2. I guarantee you, I don't care what he says, he did not know that it was completely over until he saw Mahomes running at him like that.
Well, he's probably like me trying to figure out what the hell was going on, because I'm sitting there like, why are they letting the clock run? What's going on here? And then finally, Tony Romo, right before that, kind of explains what's going on. But yeah, I was just trying to figure out what the heck was going on. You know, the way they were working the clock, and then they explained that, and then he got caught up in the moment.
Why'd they take the ball?
I don't know.
The thought on that too, Jake, is if you take the ball, you're giving Mahomes an extra 4th down every time because they're going to go for it.
Not only that, you're giving Mahomes, let's say you go down and you score a touchdown and you kick a field goal, you're putting the ball in Mahomes' hands at the 2.5-yard line if they score a touchdown to win it.
That's what he said last night.
To go for 2. Yeah.
That's what he said. They were going to go for 2. And I'm like, listen, those guys make a hell of a lot more money than I do. And Shanahan's called a trillion plays, but I don't understand the thought process there, knowing that you gave Kansas City the opportunity to go for it every 4th down, because on that 3rd and 1, and they didn't get it. Had they had the ball first, they punted.
Yeah.
They had to punt it.
They're right. So
that's crazy, man.
Yeah, it's nuts, man. And you know, obviously, you know, Patrick Mahomes is unreal. Chris Conley made a big play in that game. One of my lasting memories from that game, though, man, is you know, Charlie Warner played a lot in that game. Chris Conley made a play. Malik Arian got a lot of run in that game. Mecole makes a couple of big catches. And then I'd forgotten about it. I had tweeted about it after the 49ers beat the Lions and made the Super Bowl, that Robert Beal was the only person. Tresman Marshall got into the playoff this year with a chance to win 3 straight titles at Alabama. They didn't get it done. A.D. Mitchell didn't get it done. Robert Beal was the only one still alive to have a chance to win a 3rd straight title. And then, I don't know if you saw in the post game or them, you know, they were flashing around looking at different people in the confetti celebration, disappointment. Robert Beal was one of the guys they caught on the bench on the camera. And that's the first guy I looked. I was like, oh man, Beefy didn't get a chance to win a 3rd straight title. But you know, really happy for Mecole, because that's such an epic bounce back from the way fans were probably talking about him. And you know, that's a play that's almost impossible to finish. It's a triple option. I mean, it's what it is. It's because Mahomes has got the option to hand it off. He can pull it and run, or he can pull it and he can throw it to Mecole or whoever's open. And I tell you what, man, I know it's not Georgia related, but man, Patrick Mahomes is just filthy, unreal football player. Didn't have 1,000-yard receiver this year, and takes that team to a Super Bowl.
The most watched event in the history of television. That's crazy.
Yeah, we're talking about State of the Unions,
MASH final.
Yeah, I mean, over a third of the American population registered on that game, and they got to see Mecole do something special. Mecole. And great for him. Dude, Jake Roos has got some great stories from that. I'll let him tell them on Bark After Dark sometime, but he's got one of the funniest stories. I don't even know if he'd be willing to tell it about that Mecole commitment to Georgia, but sounds like that day that you got those 1,000 followers, you had a little bit of a Jake Roos moment yourself, like when he tweeted out that Prince video and got like 5,000 followers in one day. After Prince passed away, and he got that last he recorded the last Purple Rain.
The FBI called him.
That's right. He had the BBC and everybody asking for permission for the video. He goes, I don't own the video. I ain't trying to make no money off this.
All timer, bro. All timer.
Yeah, that's a good one. And it's funny, man. Those stories are some of the best. Happy for him, really am, because I like him. Like not just because he's a Georgia guy. I just like him. There's a lot of guys that play for other teams in college, the teams I didn't cover, teams I didn't grow up rooting for, universities I didn't attend, that I like. And he's one of those guys I'd root for no matter where he was at. And that was such a big play and a big moment. And real proud for him. And hopefully he's on a roster this time next year. And
he will. It will. He'll be somebody. Yeah.
I assume he'll probably be in Kansas City, to be honest with you, because that's just where it's clicked for him. Because you and I were talking about this earlier today, man, like when we were kind of getting ready for the show. Let's call it what it is. He was a non-factor in New York. He had signed with New York, and he was a non-factor. I mean, he was basically like
they weren't.
I mean, if they couldn't have traded him, they would have probably cut him.
No doubt. They were about to cut him. Yeah, and it just it was one of those deals that just didn't work out, And you and I talked a little bit, kind of changing it, getting to Georgia with this deal. We talked about Mecole and how explosive he is, and one game can change you literally.
Yeah.
Arian Smith has that type of potential for Georgia. You know what I mean? He's bigger than Mecole, and longer, and he's faster. I don't know he could outrun him in a 40, but 100 I would take Arian over him. I don't know about a 40, but Arian Smith's a guy that could have that type of impact in a game. He did in Ohio State. He had that long touchdown. And,
he did.
Georgia worked him a lot late in the year, especially in the Orange Bowl, and he's a guy that if he can just put it together, he went through that this year with the drops and that type of thing. But man, when you see him in person and what type of game changer, he's one of those people that comes in the game right now. Everybody knows he's about to run a seam or a vertical. I mean, he's just going to take off on you. And in
almost every big game, they take a shot or two to him. Like, I mean, you look at the Tennessee game when Georgia played down there number 1 at home, they took a shot. Ohio State game, the Alabama game this past year, they love taking a shot to him. And one thing I want to say about Arian Smith is he got beat up on a little bit because of those drops this year, and I get it. Like, I mean, it was ugly. Yeah. He had a bad stretch. He did. Rough. Yeah. I don't know that I've ever covered a player, and I haven't talked to Arian very much, maybe once or twice. He's kind of like Mecole too. He's an extremely excitable guy, talks a mile a minute. I don't have any more respect for any player I've ever covered than I do Arian Smith. And here's why. Drop issues, injuries galore, finally found a way to stay healthy for the first time in his career this past year. So many injuries. Man, he's out there gunning on punts like his life depends on it. He's not on social media causing any sort of stir, not firing back or clapping back at fans. I mean, I don't know what else you could ask for from a player. I mean, he has embodied kind of what Georgia wants, which is kind of that do your job type thing. And while he didn't do his job sometimes and catch the football, man, the way he's kind of kept his head down, and honestly, like, would anybody have blamed him if he was like, listen, and I'm sure they don't want him to leave, but if he'd have gotten to the portal and said, hey, I need a fresh start.
Yeah, I thought he was gone.
I did too. And not that I was hearing it. It just made all sorts of sense.
Yeah.
But he's a listen, I mean, I know we got to get through a spring transfer portal window. I get that. But when you look back at Arian Smith's career to Georgia at this point, 4 years, the way he stuck it out, I mean, he is a dog, man. He is a bulldog through and through. And, listen, if we want to see some poetic justice, it sure would be nice to see him come back this year and have a really solid final season at Georgia and maybe get a chance he'll get a chance to play in the NFL with that kind of speed that you just can't teach it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Arian, I mean, dang, I cannot believe we have talked for 25 minutes on this whole thing. But Arian Smith, man, something else. Let's switch gears then. Let's get to our next point, our next topic, and that is Rusty. What the hell is a dead period for folks out there that don't know? Because I think that you hear it and it just sounds like, okay, this is slow time. Well, there's a little bit more. Recruiting doesn't stop, but it stops as much as it ever will.
Yeah, you can't have you have somebody ask a question over here about 25 recruits. So the 2025 recruits, they can't. I mean, nobody can be on campus. You know what I mean? Like nobody can be on campus. Can't have coaches can't be in your school. The evaluation period is over. So, you look at that and you say, well, there's really not a lot of commitments go on during the dead period either, because it kind of gives you time to reset. Now, the coaches can call the 2025s a player. Let me give you an example. Let's just say Juju Lewis. Juju Lewis is now a 2025 prospect in the state of Georgia. He can call Mike Bobo as much as he wants.
Yeah.
I think Mike Bobo can only call him once a week. So Coach Bobo can call him once a week, but the prospect can pick up the phone and call Mike Bobo anytime. Say, hey, Coach, I want to ask you about this. Can I ask you about that?
And Coach Bobo can shoot him a DM.
They can DM him, yeah.
And say, hey, give me a call. I want to talk. I'd like to talk to you today or something like that.
Yeah, and the 26 is like Tyler Atkinson, who's considered like #1 player in the state of Georgia, that he cannot get DMs from coaches until I think September 1st or August 1st from that. So, but he can call. Like he can call Tyler Atkinson, can call Glenn Schumann anytime. So the month
there are ways around that too. Give the coach a shout. Coach, say, hey, Coach, if you got so and so and weight training or workouts this morning, can you tell him to give me a call today? Stuff like that, right?
Probably. I don't know how all that works, but there's the communication doesn't completely shut off. It's just there's no on-campus visits, and that coach is not going to come by your school. That part of it is over with, and it's kind of good for the prospects to kind of to reset after all these coaches are in your schools, after all these visits you took in January. It kind of resets and gets you ready for March when you start going by and watching schools have spring practice and those types of things. So, it's one of those deals where it kind of just resets everything and gets ready again. The way the calendar is now, you see these kids committing and all that, everything for me builds up for May and June now.
Yeah.
I mean, they start, the coaches can get back on the road late April, and they're on the road the entire month of May. So,
and you get a month there at the not a month, but you get a week, or is it 2 weeks there at the end of May where players can start visiting again?
In May. Oh yeah. Well, you can start visiting in March.
Oh, can you? Okay.
Yeah. July. They have that. That's
right, because they could come in and see spring practices. Yeah.
August is completely dead, which is great. August is completely dead. So that means kids can focus on high school and coaches can practice and worry about that. There's
July.
There's 6 week period. I think it's June 25th through July 25th. Is dead. So you have that 4 week period in the middle of the summer, but those 4 weekends in June are OVs. Those hell, we know that. There's a huge. You already see Clemson is setting up that Memorial Day weekend, looks like. And Clemson tries to do all their top targets the very first weekend. And then Georgia tries to have one of their big weekends that first weekend in June. You already start to see that. So some guys like Mason Short and David Sanders and all those guys, I believe, have their visits set up to Clemson that first. That's what happened last year. Sammy Brown took the visit to Clemson, and never got back on campus to Georgia that second weekend. And so, but Georgia's done a good job of definitely. And what Georgia's done a good job is having really good June visits that leads to a really good July. And they did it again last year. So,
yeah, that one was nuts. It turned out to be a good vacation for you. We recorded a bunch of stuff we knew was coming there in July. It's one of those things you talk about. Sammy Brown. That's another illustration as to everybody's like, "Hey, I want the last visit." Better. Sometimes you don't.
Clemson's the one school. I think they only have one weekend of OVs, which is crazy. But they try to get all their top targets together that first weekend. 2 years ago, they really had a huge Vic Burley and all those guys. But Georgia last year was able to really hold those kids off, except for Sammy Brown and the rest of those guys that visited that weekend. They came back in and Georgia was able to get them on campus the next weekend. But you already see that pattern setting up for June. But the dead period right now for February, there will be no junior days. There will be no visits. Coaches will not be in schools, those types of things. It's really a refocus. You see all the coaches. You saw Glenn Schumann tweet the other day. He and Dan Lanning were in Arizona. I think they went to Mexico after that. You see Todd Hartley was in Wyoming. I mean, these guys are actually getting a break, So, but they'll come back and I think start. Monday, maybe Monday. It's real deal, man.
Back on it. Getting ready for spring practice too. I mean, we're a month away. It'll begin. If I'm not mistaken, spring practice at Georgia will begin in 4 weeks. It is 4 weeks away. It is from today. It'll start on a Tuesday, and
wow.
And then they'll have that for 5 weeks with G-Day almost certainly coming on the Saturday of the Masters, April 13th. And if I get my Saturday's Masters tickets, Rusty, I'm sorry, I'm not going to G-Day.
I'll give you get Saturday Masters tickets. Palmer and I can cover it.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I really do. All right. This one is less sexy than the ones we've been doing. We've had Alabama, we've had Auburn, we've had Kentucky. Those had obvious storylines. You got Georgia hosting Mississippi State as we kind of take a look, continue to look at Georgia's schedule. We're going to do this a lot more in depth closer to the season, but we wanted to hit on some high points. Jeff Lebby, head coach at Mississippi State. That's about the only storyline I really know, Rusty, because I don't know a whole lot about the Bizarro Bulldogs.
I don't either, to be honest with you. And I think that's a good hire, but you lose your quarterback. And that was a crazy deal for him going to Washington and then getting a portal and then wind up staying. So don't know a ton about it and them, but that'd be one of those schools you get to watch the spring game and kind of see where they are. And usually with a new staff and a new offense deal like this and a lot of it's crazy the amount of turnover now when a coaching change happens, especially a head coach, and you kind of see what their roster is going to look like. So it's, for Mississippi State, I can't sit here and tell you I know exactly all what's going on with them. That'd be one of those games you have to watch in the spring practice. I'm sick, man. I'm a sicko. I'll record them all those spring games. I'll watch. I swear to God, yesterday, I'm not kidding you, I watched the first half of Georgia, Florida. I want to see ETN. I want to see ETN. And he returned the opening kickoff, and I'd forgotten Florida went right down the field. And
yeah, they did. Well, everybody did there for about 6 weeks.
Yeah. And then I went right down the field, and then Carson Beck comes back. Man, Ladd McConkey carved Florida up.
Yeah,
man. That was really the last game that he was really good and healthy. God, Ladd McConkey, man, he had a pretty good Missouri game as well. That Missouri game, but then Florida was at Florida. He got into Florida pretty good. I imagine Florida fans are happy to see 84 gone.
Yeah, we barely got a good glimpse of Ladd this year, and that's disappointing. And probably just a tiny bit of disappointed as much as Ladd was. Rusty, one thing I will say about Mississippi State is they do have a bye before Georgia, which is always something you got to keep an eye on. But I tell you, this game might have a little bit of buzz to it, and I say it for this reason. Mississippi State has Eastern Kentucky. If they can they got to play at Arizona State. If they can win those two, beat Toledo next, they get Florida at home. So Mississippi State's got a chance to be 3-0 and play Florida at home, go 4-0. Then they got to play at Texas. Now, they're probably not going to win that game. They play at Texas, then Georgia. I mean, Mississippi State could roll into Athens as a 4-1 team.
Yeah, but I don't know if they're ready for that.
No, they're not. They're not. Georgia's going to be favored probably. If Georgia's not favored by 20 plus, I'll be shocked.
Damn, Texas and Georgia in 3 weeks. Oof.
Yeah, Texas and Georgia in 3 weeks. Oh, Texas, Georgia, Texas A&M in 3 weeks, which
that is so weird, man. That Texas and Oklahoma are in SEC.
It is. I can't get over it. I can't get over it. I still keep thinking about it. And listen, I know I'm not a huge fan of conference expansion. I'm just not one of these people that's going to sit here and bitch about it over and over and over again. Yeah. So I'm going to try to find the good parts about it. And the good parts about it is more marquee matchups. And coming 2025, Georgia's going to get Texas or Oklahoma at home. I really feel like there's a good chance of that happening. That Georgia's – I'm excited to see that 2025 schedule come out, Rusty, because I do believe Georgia fans – that's going to be the comeuppance for Georgia fans in terms of the schedules. I think that's the year you're going to want to be a season ticket holder for home games.
I would go ahead, if you're on the fence, I would go ahead and get the 24 tickets to try to help you with the 25 tickets.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, you and I both know some people over there, and the 25 home schedule is going to be – it's going to be pretty damn good.
Yeah. And I'm excited about it. I don't know what the new press box can look like. Still trying to figure that one out. I hope I can hit it. I told my wife the other day, I said, I'm going to play the Mega Millions. And if I could,
they're already sold, I think.
I'm going to buy one off of somebody if I win the Mega Millions.
Are you going to make my question is, are you going to make it the Jake Rose suite, or are we going to have the DawgsHQ media suite right there?
No, we'll do DawgsHQ media suite. I got you guys. But we're going to do like some of these stories you hear out of these college football coaches when they move to these new towns. They go to neighborhoods and they're like, that house ain't for sale, but I really like it. Let's go buy it. You know what I mean?
I knew it was a matter of time. When I went to Mercedes-Benz and they were in the end zone, which is what it is. And then you look at Auburn, what they did. I was like, there is no way that Georgia football is going to let this right here. You will never have that view again in any brand new stadium or anything like that, because those are premium seats, and it is what it is. And you got many, many years, and kudos to Claude Felton. He said, you know what, my last one's going to be at the 50.
That's right. Now I assume that new press box is going to be named after him.
It should. It should. It better. There's a no. I saw Chuck Dowdle tweet about it, or post about it. That's a no-brainer there to name that after Claude Felton. So,
little tease here, hoping to have Chuck Dowdle as a Bark After Dark guest when we get started next month. So, you want to talk about a dude with some stories? He's got after working down in Miami. He's got some good ones. He's told them to me privately, and they're gold. But we'll be back on Thursday, Rusty. We're going to dig into Under Armour camp. We got Under Armour camp coming up this weekend in Carrollton indoor facility. Excited to see some players there. We'll dig in a little bit more to that on Thursday.
All you people asking about 25 prospects, and it is the dead period. It is the dead period, but this is the best camp of the year. This is the best. This is the one camp left that all the top targets just about come, and not only come, they come and compete.
Yeah.
So, new names pop up every year. So we will be able to preview a little bit of that. But Sunday for DawgsHQ subscribers, it'll be good, man, because we're going to have a ton of content going into next week, and we'll have a bunch of insider stuff. People are asking about DawgsHQ stuff. All right. So what we're going to do is, I'm kind of a stickler about apparel, and I've been ordering apparel for years and years and years through a couple of my different companies. And what I do is I'll order a small batch and see if I like the material. And these are really cool. These are really good sweatshirts. Jake Rowe loves these. I gave Jake an MVP camp out of this one, and
I wear it about 3 out of every 6 days. Out of every 5 days.
So what we're going to do is, and you guys are kind of hit it on the side here in the comments, we're going to give away probably starting in March. We'll probably give away a hoodie or a t-shirt in every single. I think I got. I'll hold this. I got a great t-shirt. So And I like t-shirts that don't shrink up. I'm a grown ass man, and I like I'll pay more for a good t-shirt. That's a different mix than just the old cotton. And so we will have stuff to give away. I don't know that we'll ever have a store where you can purchase it. It's just different things go into that, but we're going to
trivia or something and get
do some trivia. We're going to do some stuff, and we're going to give away some stuff, and we're going to make that a regular thing because you guys have been great to us and all the subscribers and even the YouTube people. So I just don't. I'm not going. If I'm going to put my name on it and this company name is going to be on this thing, it's not going to be a piece of what. So I'll order a 10-piece and try to see what they are. And when these came in the other day, I was like, oh, and realize I've got daughters, so hoodies are like crack. So I kid you not,
especially big hoodies.
Oh, dude. So the box,
my 16-year-old wants the extra large every time. I'm like, what? You're 110 pounds. What are you talking about?
Yep. So the box that these are in, I didn't even bring them in the damn house. These things are like, these things might be buried in the yard in a package, because if I'd have brought these hoodies in, I'd have been 9 short already. So, but yeah, we're going to give away some stuff. Thank you guys, everyone, for being here and all the comments and people that I go back in too. And when you guys watch the video, I'll go back in and read the comments you post underneath the page too. So thank you. And we're going to have Uncle Glenn, Rhett, everybody, Tomahawk, everybody. It's always regulars here. We're going to have stuff for you guys, and we'll do it for the subscribers too. But we're going to have gear. Don't worry about that. Rusty Mansell's involved. We're going to have gear, and I'm just kind of a stickler for that. Got to have gear, and we're going to have some for you guys.
All right, man. I'm excited about it. I hope you give me one of them this weekend.
You're going to get one this weekend.
Yeah.
What size did you get last time?
I'll bring a medium. I got a medium. I don't know. I
don't want to get thrown out of camp. So
I have to look at this MVP. I have to look at the MVP hoodie. I'm not sure. I'm so weirdly sized now. I've lost a little bit of weight, but not enough to change anything. So we'll get there. But y'all, we appreciate it.
These are a little snug now. So
yeah, they are.
You might have to text me on the side.
I'll do it. We appreciate y'all so much. We'll be back with you on Thursday. We'll dig into that Under Armour camp. Hopefully we got a prospect list by that point of who is expected to be there, at least maybe close. But if not, I can't wait to go, man. It's going to be me. It's going to be you, Jake Roos, Jeremy Johnson. We'll have it fully covered. Palmer is going to be Palmer gets to, cover Georgia basketball that day. Or not that day, I guess the day before. But yeah, we're going over to Carrollton, see what it's all about. And, but for this episode of the Georgia Show presented by DawgsHQ, y'all take it easy.